Welcome to CinePro, where we bring your favorite movies back to life with quick recaps, hidden details, and everything you missed. The movie Rat Disaster. The events of the movie begin at a train station. There were many people waiting to board the train, and among the passengers was a man named Chang. He was with his young son and teenage daughter. But before they could board the train, something very strange happened. We see the workers at the station running at full speed to stop the train before it enters the station, as it wasn't supposed to be there at that time. When the train stops, all the soldiers and officers rush to see what's inside. When they open the gate, a large number of dead bodies and rats fall to the ground. At that moment, Chang witnessed what happened and was sure a disaster was imminent. While observing what was happening from outside, he approached the window where a thug was sitting. The thug asked him why he was getting close and said, "This is my seat." Chang apologized to him, but the thug didn't stop there. When Chang's daughter, named Huai, intervened to defend her father, the thug bullied both her and her father. He was about to attack them, but a brave man named Dushan intervened at the right moment and stopped the thug. After that, Huai thanked Dushan for helping them, while her father continued walking around the train, trying to figure out what was happening outside. The passengers in the train started hearing strange noises, and these sounds were coming from the roof of the train, which was filled with rats. In the first-class car, which was reserved for the elite passengers, Chung unexpectedly catches sight of his eldest daughter, who had been living far away from him for a long time. Strong and composed, her name is Link, and she was seated with her husband, who serves as an officer in the army. Filled with anger, her father approaches her and says, "I have been looking for you for years." And as he nears her and asks her to come with him, the soldiers immediately gather around him, restraining him and pushing her away. Her husband, noticing the commotion, turns to her and asks, "Do you know this man?" Without hesitation, she lies and replies, "No, I don't know him." As a punishment, the soldiers surrounded him and restrained him, accusing him of trying to harm the officer's wife. They took him to a dark room, handcuffed him to a pipe, and began interrogating him. Meanwhile, the soldiers noticed another suspicious man sitting in the corner of the room. One of the soldiers tried to approach him, but the man was making strange movements. When the soldier turned to face him, he saw something odd. Then he noticed something moving under a cover. When he lifted the cover, he found a cat underneath. In another train carriage, a woman heard strange noises coming from the roof. The noise was very annoying, so she asked her husband, who was beside her, to check what was causing the sound and stop it. Reluctantly, he got up, took a stick with him, and started banging on the roof. Suddenly, the ventilation opening burst open, and an overwhelming and terrifying number of rats fell out, attacking and killing all the passengers in that carriage. The officer and the train driver became aware of what had happened. The officer ordered his men to quickly gather everything and move to another carriage, as if they knew exactly what was happening. After collecting their belongings, they all moved to a safer carriage. In the dark room, Chang was witnessing the rats devouring the guards. He tried to escape, praying fervently as he realized the rats would soon come for him. However, strangely, the rats couldn't get close to him. He then understood that they were afraid of sunlight. Seizing the opportunity, he grabbed the key to the handcuffs from the floor, freed himself, and escaped. When he left the room, he found everyone in the train dead, and the floor was covered with rats. Luckily, he managed to jump over the seats and evade the rats, closing the door of the carriage behind him. When he reached the others, he warned them about the killer rats, but everyone mocked him, accusing him of hallucinating due to drugs. Feeling humiliated, he took his daughter and moved to another carriage. Later, a man entered from the adjacent carriage, visibly injured and dying in front of everyone. The passengers were all tense, not understanding what was happening. Then, they noticed something moving under the man's clothes, and a rat emerged. Soon after, a large number of rats attacked them. Chang tried to warn the remaining passengers, urging them to move to the next carriage. But as the rats approached, he was forced to shut the door. The soldiers who entered the carriage also closed the door behind them, leaving the passengers in the middle carriage filled with rats. One of the women was terrified and begged her husband to open the door, but he refused out of fear for their safety. Chang, his children, and Dushan were trapped in a carriage with no escape route. To make matters worse, the rats were gathering, trying to break through the door, separating them from the humans. Everyone had resigned themselves to death, but Dushan found a way to escape through the roof hatch. He helped Chang's children out first, then followed them. One passenger, however, wasn't as lucky and was overrun by the rats. The train driver came up with an idea to detach the dangerous carriage from the rest of the train. This was the carriage where Chang, his children, and hundreds of passengers were trapped. Despite the pleas of a woman named Ling, the driver ignored her and detached the carriage. Realizing what was happening, Dushan jumped to the remaining part of the train, followed by Chang's daughter. When Chang and his son tried to jump, an explosion occurred at the back of the train, making it difficult for them. Fortunately, they managed to make it. Later, Ling and the other passengers mourned the loss of their loved ones. Chang and his companions managed to enter the safe carriage. When Ling saw her family safe and sound, she felt relieved. However, due to her earlier behavior toward her father, she couldn't bring herself to speak to him or even look him in the eye. In the next scene, one of the passengers collapsed, revealing that he had been bitten by the rats and was now infected. The soldiers decided to quarantine anyone infected. While checking on his children, Chang discovered that his son had been bitten and was now infected. Realizing the danger, Chang confessed to everyone that he had been working on developing a cure for the infection. He informed them that the cure was available at a hospital in the nearby district. The train driver was reluctant to stop the train, fearing the rats might attack and kill them. The group then decided to split into two teams. However, a thug forced the driver to stop the train, insisting that they all needed the cure. The driver had no choice but to comply. After an hour, the train reached the district Chang had mentioned. Chang, Dushan, and 3 others volunteered for the mission to retrieve the medicine. The driver gave them 2 hours to return. And keep in mind, if you're late, we'll be forced to leave to protect the lives of the other passengers. The group arrives at the city, which has been completely destroyed. As they move through, they find many corpses in the streets, and they are forced to navigate through them to reach the hospital. Their biggest fear was that these corpses might harbor rats, and if so, the rats would attack and kill them. Later, they encounter a rat horde, ready to devour anyone in their path. However, the rats were hiding from the sunlight, staying in the shadows. At this point, someone tells them they must move across the rooftops where the sun shines, as the rats wouldn't attack them there. Unfortunately, one of them falls to the ground amidst the rats, and they devour him in a horrifying scene. Meanwhile, someone from the city reaches the train and begs the passengers to let him in. After examining him, they confirm he's healthy and safe. He informs them that the rats fear sunlight, but become far more dangerous and violent at night. The passengers, terrified, plead with the train driver to leave the area as quickly as possible. Due to the misfortune surrounding Chang's group, a new storm forms, with thick clouds blocking the sunlight. This allows the rats to emerge, climbing onto the buildings. One of the group falls from above, and as soon as he hits the ground, the rats finish him off. The rest of the team manages to continue their journey to the hospital, though Sam gets injured in the leg during the mission. When they enter the hospital, a man attacks them, but Chung tries to calm him down, explaining they're there to get medicine. The man is relieved, introduces himself, and leads them to the hospital's storage area. There, they find a long corridor filled with millions of rats making disturbing noises, waiting for their prey. To fend off the rats, they use fire to clear the way. On the train, the thugs who had been controlling the passengers and tying up the driver begin to lose hope, believing the rescue team won't return. They decide to move the train, but another group opposes this decision, insisting on waiting for the rescue team. A woman, overwhelmed by fear, moves toward the front door, inadvertently allowing the rats to enter the train car and kill everyone. Ling, who was with her brother, is left helpless, sitting in terror. Back in the hospital storage area, Chung and his group enter a massive rat nest. Chung decides to go in alone to retrieve the medicine. He manages to find the medicine box, but as he attempts to leave, the ladder he's descending breaks. Clinging to the medicine, he encounters the guard, who instructs him to throw the box and descend safely. Chung complies, but the guard betrays them, locking them inside and declaring he'll sell the medicine for money. Chung questions the value of money in such dire circumstances. The large rat nest collapses, releasing millions of rats onto the ground. Fortunately, Chung and his group manage to break the door and escape the storage area. They confront the traitor who locked them in and discover his wife and child had died, leaving him distraught and in tears. They take the medicine from him and flee. Finding a car, they drive away quickly with the rats chasing them. Luckily, the clouds clear and the sunlight reappears, forcing the rats back into the shadows. This allows Chung and his group to leave the city safely. When they reach the train, they find the passengers' corpses outside. Chung and his group break down in tears, believing his children have also died. However, the train car door opens, and he finds his family alive and well, filling him with joy. But his happiness is short-lived as thick clouds gather again, and the rats rush out of the city to attack the train. Suddenly, someone grabs the medicine box from Chung and strikes him with it. It's revealed that this person had been bitten by the rats. Chung manages to stop him and retrieve the medicine. By then, The rats have reached them, forcing everyone to run and hide inside the train. Unfortunately, Chan cannot make it to the train due to a previous injury. He resigns himself to his fate, confessing his love for Wei, making his death even harder for her. Chung begins administering the medicine to the infected passengers, significantly improving their condition. Suddenly, the train halts after hitting an obstacle. Chung asks for volunteers to help clear the path, but no one is willing to risk their lives. With no other choice, Chung goes out alone. A young girl joins him, followed by others who gradually step out to help. One passenger sacrifices himself, strapping explosives to his body and luring the rats to him before detonating, giving the group more time to clear the tracks. Their bravery inspires everyone to push forward. Eventually, they clear the path, allowing the train to move again. However, they soon realize they're on the wrong track, leading to a dead end due to incomplete rails. A courageous man gets off the train to manually switch the track, ensuring the train moves in the right direction. After completing the task, he attempts to return to the train, but the lever resets due to a broken mechanism. He must hold it in place manually until the train passes safely. Once his mission is complete, he runs toward the train, but a large number of rats are closing in on him. As he's about to board, he falls and injures himself. The rats close in, leaving him with little chance of survival. In the final scene, Ling and Wei are seen crying uncontrollably, knowing their father won't make it back to the train. The rats attack Chung, killing him, but he dies content, knowing he has protected his loved ones. He knew he could save his children and sacrificed his life for them. If you liked the video, subscribe to the channel and activate the notification button so you never miss an updates. See you in